Helljumpers, Chapter 11, Part 2.
Dash? Dash, wake up!
Cloud Chaser stood by the side of Rainbow's bed, and the mare was panicking a bit.
Sorry for waking you up, Cap. We need you out there right now. The situation has changed.
Dash, not having the ability yet to wake up without being drowsy, looked at the mare beside her.
Chaser, for one, I'm not the captain anymore. And two, what's the situation if you felt the need to pull me from my dream walking lesson with Princess Luna?
The mare turned a bit pale at the mention of the princess.
The storm has just been upped from a Cat 3 to a Cat 2 and growing.
At hearing this, Dash threw off the blanket of her bed, revealing that she hadn't undressed from the previous day, standing fully armored with her wing blades covered in protective padding for practice.
Is there any danger of it becoming a Cat 1? Well, if we don't intervene, then yes,
she said, eyeing Rainbow's armor, earning a smack to the back of her head.
Get your head back into the game, Chaser. If you want to stare at my flank, you can do it after the job is done.
Deciding not to wait for an answer from the blushing mare, Dash jumped from her balcony into the air to the rally point the weather crew used when going out to the Everfree.
Thunderlane?
The gray stallion turned from the rest of the crew to face Dash.
Okay, glad you woke. Okay, we need to act quickly to weaken the storm front. You take Derpy and Chaser with you to Sweet Apple Acres. We can't have an orchard getting too damaged.
Dash saluted the stallion, which surprised him.
Chaser, on me!
She shouted at the mare that was just approaching the group.
Yes, ma'am.
She shouted back, reminding Dash that she too had been at the Wonderbolt Academy. Flying in a V formation, the trio raced to the apple farm.
Derpy, you get to the south field to prevent any damage to the orchard. Chaser, you make sure that the barn doesn't get hit too badly.
The two Pegasi flew off without question, leaving Dash to the section of the farm between the Everfree and Ponyville itself. Flying at a high speed towards the edge of the forest, she quickly saw the mass of clouds rolling towards them. Not waiting for the clouds to get out of the Everfree, she shot into the cloud mass and started punching and bucking out the clouds. Lightning arching through the sky around her as she removed the clouds, a sudden bolt of lightning hit the armor Dash was wearing, and made the armor glow blue for just a moment. Thanking the princess for including the wards that protected against the lightning strikes, even though the thought behind the ward was to stop the type of lightning conjured by unicorns. After 15 minutes of fighting the clouds, Dash flew up above the cloud layer to check up on her two wing mares. In the distance, she could see that Derpy had cut a large grid pattern into the clouds, making them lose density, and in turn, lowering their destructive capability. You could say a lot of things about the Muffin Mare, but you could also count on her if there was any weather concerns. Looking a bit closer, she could see that Cloud Chaser had also made the same pattern, but seemed to lag behind on progress. Dash, with her speed, had already cut a decent swath in her region of clouds, deciding to take a quick look to see if Cloud Chaser could use the help. The flight over to the other Pegasi sector was short, and Dash began flying in a search pattern to try to find the wake of her teammate, finding nothing.
Cloud Chaser?
Dash rapidly descended below the cloud cover into the storm before looking down at the Everfree to see if she could spot a crash site. Taking a few passes, she suddenly heard the howl of a timberwolf from the forest behind her. Coming to a stop that would have torn the wings off of most Pegasi, she looked over at the clearing where the sound came from. Cloud Chaser was lying at the edge of it with a burned wing and multiple wolves bearing down on her. Not hesitating a moment, Dash ripped the protective padding from the wing blades and made a dive bomb on the lead wolf. The wolf, too focused on the downed Pegasus, got his head cut in half by Rainbow's wing blade. Immediately moving on to the next wolf, she managed to score a deep cut on its torso, making it too collapse into firewood. The remaining three wolves took their distance from Dash before starting to circle the two mares. Dash quickly stood up on her hind legs and drew her longsword and stuck it into the ground before falling back on all four hooves.
Use that! Don't try anything fancy, just point it in their direction to stop them from jumping you!
One of the two wolves focused on Dash surged forward, making Dash roll to the side and slashing at the wolf. The Timberwolf saw what Dash was doing and tried to move to the side, but wasn't fast enough. The wing blade cut deep into the side of the wolf, making it the third of Dash's casualties. The fourth wolf was still keeping its distance, but Rainbow had enough of the flight and charged it. The wolf raised its claws and took a swipe at the armored Pegasi. Rainbow tried to dodge the claw, but like her previous prey, was too slow, although in her case, the swipe left her with 3 gashes on her neck. Remembering something Moonlight had quickly drilled in her mind was to get up immediately after getting hit. Otherwise, your opponent might get the opportunity to finish you off. Something the Thestral had already done all too often in the few lessons she already had. The Timberwolf, not prepared for the lightning-quick response from the Pegasi, got to see the sharp edge of Rainbow's wing blade moments before it lost part of its skull. Hearing a scream from behind her, she quickly turned to see Cloud Chaser sitting on her haunches, with the longsword embedded in the rotten remains of a Timberwolf that had jumped her.
You okay, Chaser?
She shouted at the other mare.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks to you.
The mare stammered.
Wait, Dash, you're bleeding!
She shouted as she saw the claw marks on Dash's neck.
Oh, don't worry about it, just a flesh wound.
Dash replied, even though she had no idea how bad the wound was.
At least it's not bright red, so no veins got damaged.
Dash thought, thanking the Bolt Academy for the first aid lessons. Dash grabbed the longsword from the remains of the wolf and resheathed it.
You're up, Chaser. I'm bringing you to Ponyville Central. That wing is pretty screwed up.
She picked up the downed Pegasi, who didn't protest, and lifted her up above the cloud layer of the storm, making a beeline for Ponyville. She spotted a Pegasus surveying her sector, presumably Thunderlane trying to find out why Dash was behind on clearing the clouds. She rerouted a bit to attract his attention, which worked, as the Gray Stallion came up alongside her.
Thunderlane, you need to send reinforcements to my and Chaser's section. I'm taking her to the hospital.
She's not the only one, Dash. How in Tartarus did you get those gashes?
He shouted at Rainbow.
Timberwolves, now get working on the storm before Sweet Apple Acres gets hit, and check up on Derpy.
Rainbow shouted back, and the stallion nodded and broke off to get his own fellow squad mates. Rainbow corrected her course again back to Ponyville Central, feeling herself become a little drowsy as adrenaline started to leave her body, and the blood loss was starting to take its toll on her. Crashing through the front door of the hospital, she scared the life out of the receptionist. Dash putting all of her remaining strength on her legs, she stood up and faced the startled mare.
My friend needs medical attention,
she said, pointing at Cloud Chaser, and after she said that, her eyes rolled back into their sockets, and Rainbow collapsed onto the hospital floor.